Should we believe the polls? Because after Brexit and the Trump election, I don't think any of the polls hold any value.
Well, certainly the polls give a picture of a country that strongly believes this vote is going to be crucial, but not just for the content of the reform itself, but for its deepest significant political. You know, what will happen to the Renzi's government in a case of no victory? Well, I won't win that Renzi will resign a minute after, but certainly his government will be weaker than ever, and certainly the five-star movement, the leader of the No party, will be stronger than ever. Now the yes and no seem well established, with the no that leads of about 3 percentage points. But you know, in Italy now there is a huge 25% of Italians that still don't know how to vote. So in the next week, the game will be played upon this one Italian out of four. Well, from one side, Renzi, on the other side, the five-star movement will try to convince that one Italian out of four.
How do both sides mobilize the undecided voter? You say that percentage at 25% is still very large. Why exactly is Five Star opposed to the referendum?
Well, they are fighting back Renzi on three points, let's say. The first, the money saving as a result from cutting the numbers of the members of the parliament. According to Renzi, the cuts will be 500 million. According to the five-star movement, will be much lower, about 50 million of euros. The second one is the faster lawmaking procedure in a country being famous for being stuck to its own bureaucratic process. Well, according to the five-star movement, the problem of Italy is not the amount of the laws, but their quality. Actually, the average time for approval of a law in Italy is not so much slower than in other countries like France and United Kingdom. The third point, the most important, is the new electoral system that is combined to the constitutional reform. According to the five-star movement, people want to be able to choose their own representatives in the parliament. And this is the most important point, because since its birth, the movement has been calling for the right of the people to choose the member of the parliaments. The result to them will be a parliament full of bureaucrats chosen from the parties that, once elected, will just care to satisfy their leader instead of people's needs.
Yeah, tell me how this works, because we've seen it with Mr. Tsipras in Greece. Someone who is, I was going to say an enfant terrible, someone who is outside of the system becomes part of the system very quickly. Renzi was a young man supposed to really shake up Italian politics, becomes part of the problem very quickly as well. What does Beppe Grillo have that is different from others who have come in and promised to shake up the system, but actually very soon, because of the realities, and maybe Mr. Trump will have the same problems, become part of the problem? What can Grillo do to not only tap into populism to get to power, but then actually create something different?
Well, yeah, as the other parties in Europe, the five-star movement is trying to ride this wave of discontent sweeping the world. We will see in the next week in Austria, in Netherlands, in Germany, in France. They were Beppe Grillo and Matteo Salvini, the leader of the Northern League, were the only Italian party to celebrate the Trump's victory. Beppe Grillo tried to interpret the victory as a big refusal of the old political establishment. But you know, there is a difference between the five-star movement and the other European parties. Movement cannot be so easily associated to left-wing politics or right-wing politics. It is more post-ideological and can attract voters from across the political spectrum. Beppe Grillo stressed this difference many times. He said, luckily in Italy there is the movimento. We took this rage, this potentially violent rage, and we transformed it. We channeled it into a positive movement that is trying to transform the society in a participant way, in a pacific way. But you know, there is a weak point. The movement, like other parties in Europe, other conservative parties in Europe is refuse dialogue. They refuse dialogue with the press, they refuse dialogue with other parties, even with their own members that criticize their leader. No? What is the consequences?